Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. So a lot of times if we have large gardens, we tend to have a lot of waste, dry leaves, yellowing of leaves, we have weeds. So what do we do with this? Now guys, this is very important. We do not need to throw this out. What you can do is, if you have an empty pot with a little bit of soil in it, just dump everything in that and keep it aside like this. Now what's going to happen is that over the period of time this is going to break down, and you can fill this up with soil once you are completely full. Let's say that I have filled this up completely, and now that this is full, I can add some top layer of soil and then leave it as it is. Within a month or so, everything will get decomposed and everything will get mixed with the soil, and your soil is going to have, that natural compost in it. But always ensure, do not put a plant in it, especially when the leaves are green, because these are not decomposed. They are still in the process of decomposing, because always remember, whenever there is decomposition, there is a requirement of oxygen, and the decomposition process pulls in a lot of oxygen, and our roots also need oxygen. You can imagine if your plant is going to be sitting in this in a semi-decomposed or not completely decomposed material, it will damage the roots. The plant will also get damaged because the roots are going to be deprived from oxygen. So whenever you have a live matter that is not completely decomposed, please do not add plant in that. This will take around probably a month or maybe 2 months as well. That's why I have this one vacant pot that I usually tend to keep it aside, and whenever I am done with any kind of cuttings, I tend to add it in that. Now of course, if you have really large leaves, you can just go ahead and trim everything and cut them into smaller pieces, so that, because whenever you tend to cut anything and make them into smaller pieces, the rate of decomposition is going to be much faster. So let's say that if it's going to take 2 months, it might happen within a month if you're going to make them into smaller pieces like this, because these larger pieces will take a very long time for them to decompose. So the best thing, even if you're doing compost as well, if you're going to make them into smaller pieces, that tends to work out really well. Now of course, not everyone has that time to sit and cut them into smaller pieces. So what you can do is, you can just dump everything in a large container like this, fill some more of them. You can even collect all of your weeds. Now ideally for the weeds, I prefer to cut them into smaller pieces, because otherwise they might again start to grow in this. So we are going to cut them completely into smaller pieces, and you can see, just with whatever garden waste that you have, this can turn into your fertilizer, or it is going to make your soil mix fertile over the period of time. Of course, it's going to take a very long time, as I said, but in case if you have some vacant pots that you're not using, because I do not prefer to use these cement pots, because one, they are quite heavy to pick and take them around. It becomes very difficult to lift them because they're very heavy. I prefer the regular thermoformer plastic pots, which are very light and which can be easily moved around, even while cleaning or while watering. In case if there is any issue, it's very easy to clean and pick them up. So that is what I prefer rather than these pots. But what I'm planning to do is, in future, I'm planning to grow some of my vegetables, and I prefer to grow vegetables in cement pots rather than plastic pots. I do not want my food to grow in a plastic container, because over the period of time the plastic tends to leach into the soil, and there are chemicals that can come in contact with the soil. So what my plan is to grow probably some herbs or some vegetables. So I'm thinking of growing capsicum in this pot. This is a cement pot. So for that, I'm preparing this mix over here. As I said, it's going to take a very long time. I'm going to dump in some more of the dry leaves, and then I'm going to cover it up with some more soil later on, because I still have a lot of plant material that has to be broken down. So I'm going to use that. Currently I'm not using much of fertilizers, because as I said, it's the monsoon season. I don't use fertilizers during the monsoon season. All I do is I use rainwater for my plants. So right now, even my compost bin is kind of getting dried out, and probably after a month or so, I will take out all of the compost and then filter it off. I'll take out all the fine material from that, and anything that is large or not decomposed, I'll put it back again into the compost bin. Probably I will make a video on it, because right now it is still not completely decomposed. There is still some time for it to decompose. It's still a little bit wet. Once it's completely dry, that is when I will take it out and filter it. So this is how it's going to be. As I said, I'm not going to be covering it up with soil right now. I have to still add some more. You can even use dead flowers as well. Like this was my rose plant. The rose flowers happened to fall while I was away. So you can even use the flowers as well. Whatever is available in your garden, as long as it's not infested with any kind of insects, it's absolutely okay to add it in your pots. I love weeds because they grow in such a large number, and these weeds tend to work as fertilizers. A lot of people, what they do is they also take these weeds and they put it in the water, and later on they use that water for their plants. So that also tends to work out really well, but I do not want to do that, because when you do that, there's a lot of smell that emits. But this tends to work out really well, and you can keep this in direct sunlight as well. The decomposition or the drying of the leaves will happen much faster in direct sunlight. So as I said, and once this starts to kind of dry out, it becomes even more lower, so you can add some more leaves as well. So I'm going to finish all of this. I have a couple of more weeds that I have to cut and put in this, and probably after a month or maybe after 2 months, I will be sowing some capsicum seeds, and I'm going to show you how I will be doing that. And also I will give you an update of how this pot looks after everything has got decomposed. So if you have a large garden, or even if you have a small garden and you have a lot of yellow leaves, dry leaves, brown leaves, weeds, just cut them and store them in one of the pot, and you will be able to see the organic compost or the organic dry leaves or the nutrient soil that you are going to get, because there is some soil in this. Over the period of time, everything that tends to break down, it's going to enter in that soil, and it will make that soil also fertile, so it tends to work out really well. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.